Hi everyone, it's Kara. I have a card to share with you today, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about how I made it. This is the card, and as you can see, it's all full of blues and yellows, which I think are a really great combination. These really cute little butterflies right here are some balsa wood butterflies that I got from Kat Scrappiness. This is what they look like when they're not painted, that pretty yellow color. And this is going to be the first video in a small series of 3 or 4, maybe 5 cards that I make, showing you different ways that you can use these balsa wood die cuts that Kat has over at Kat Scrappiness. So let me get started by going over the supplies that you need to make a card similar to this one. Obviously, you need a card base. The cardstock that I typically use for my cards is from Paper Tray ink, and this is no exception. This is the Rustic Cream, which is rapidly becoming my favorite. I'm going to need to order some more very, very soon because I've been using it so much. The beautiful blue and yellow patterned paper that I used on this card is from Pink Paisley, the Indigo Blue collection, and I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. In addition to that, of course, you would need a little butterfly. They come in, I think, a set of 5 or so from Kat. In addition to that, you would need either a water paintbrush, obviously filled with water, or a paintbrush and a small bit of water. You decide. And then lastly, you would need some of the Lindy Stamp Gang mica powder or magical micas. Either would work. This instance, I'm using the Daffodil Yellow Fire. You can kind of see what that looks like in there. So to start off, I obviously cut the card base and trimmed the corners, into using my little corner rounder. I rounded all of those. Then I cut some strips of paper in the coordinating colors. And these are approximately, let's see, they are a little larger than, they're about 1.5 inches wide. And then the length depends on how you want to do this. When I've layered things in a similar way, I like to make it a little bit bigger than whatever I'm layering. And then what I do is I go back and I use my trimmer, my paper trimmer, and make a nice smooth edge. So in this instance, I put this on another piece of cardstock and then trimmed it and then rounded the corners. On the example I'm going to show you that I'm working on, I actually put these paper strips on the card base itself. So it just depends, like I said, on how you want to do this. I like the nice clean edge, so I make mine a little bit bigger and then I trim it. So once you have your paper strips, then I took my homemade Perfect Pearls, which is almost gone at this stage, but basically this is just a little bit of regular old tap water with some Perfect Pearl powder that you get and mixed in together. So I got these strips all relatively damp, and then I crumpled them all up, as you can kind of see. And then while they were still just a little damp, I carefully ripped all the edges. That's what that is. Then I flattened them out a little bit, waited for them to dry just a little bit. I didn't want them to be completely dry, but I also didn't want them to be completely soaked. Then I adhered them down to the card base that I used, the cardstock base that I used, trimmed off the edges a little bit, inked it, and I used some Broken China Distress ink for that. And then I decorated the butterflies. And that's what I'm going to show you. First, let me show you the card base I'm going to use for the next one. This is just the same basic size as that first card, but instead of having the smaller piece in the center, I'm actually covering the whole front of the card. As you can see, if you look at this, I've already trimmed off one side, so it's a nice clean edge. This one's still left, so you can see what I mean, where I make it just a little bit bigger, and then trim off the sides to make it look a little bit, I think, just a little bit nicer. I obviously still need to ink this if I'm going to do that with the distress ink. I haven't actually decided this time. I was thinking I might not use it. But anyway, that's what it looks like before you start adding all of the embellishments. Now to do this, it's pretty simple. If you have any of the mica powders or the magical micas from Lindy's, you can either, and here's what they look like if you haven't seen them, you can either use just a regular old brush, get it a little bit wet, take a little bit of powder, and right in the top here you can kind of mix up just a little bit of a paint, adding more as you go. And you can basically do the same thing with that water brush. Obviously you just don't have to tap into the cup of water. Once you are happy with the color that you're getting, excuse me, you just start painting it on. If it's too light, you can always add more to your water. Again, mixing it up until you get the color that you want, however dark or light that you like. As you can see from looking at the card, I chose to not completely cover up the wood grain pattern in the balsa wood because I think that looks really cool. And that's what you can see here, that you can still see the wood grain. So you basically just cover the entire thing. Again, if you need more, you can add more. You can do it someplace else. I just do it in the cap from the mica powder, the magical micas. And you cover it all. Again, like I said, until you're happy with the color and the coverage. And you can see it's simple, easy, but it makes a beautiful, beautiful color on the balsa wood. So then, once that's dry, obviously this card had two, so I would do two of them. Once that's dry, I added a little bit of bling. I attached it to the card, and I added my sentiment, which that particular sentiment is from a paper tray ink stamp set, as is the oval die cut that I used for the title. And then I just, on this particular card, added another pretty piece of pattern paper from the same paper set. And then you can see the little saying I put in here is, the front says, "Heavens to Betsy," and inside says, "You are such a dear." And then I left room so I could write a little note. So that's the basic card. Pretty simple way to decorate these gorgeous little balsa wood die cuts from Kat. You can see the difference right there. And of course, Kat has a ton of balsa wood die cuts over there that you could do this technique too. And there are also a ton of different colors in the magical micas and the mica powder over at Lindy's Stamp Gang. So you should check those out if you haven't. They're a lot of fun to work with. And if you have any questions, leave it down below. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this simple technique to make a really cute little card. And I hope wherever you're at, you're having a great day. Bye.